This time we're going to dive into one of my favorite topics, and that is plant medicine. And I want to discuss the question how to integrate from a plant medicine ceremony or a psychedelic ceremony or anything like that. And why is that important? What is integration? How to do it in the best way? It's really shaky, the picture. But I hope you can enjoy anyway. This is a very important topic. It is often overlooked. It is often not taken as seriously because people think that the plant ceremony itself or the psychedelic experience itself is the goal, but that's not the case at all. And yes, I was having, I think, more than 30 ayahuasca ceremonies and countless acid experiences and all this kind of psychedelic things. I was participating in ceremonies as a facilitator and trip sitting, working as a trip sitter as well. So I have seen the topic from many different angles, and I want to discuss that in this episode to give you a little perspective from my experience. And God, I'm walking like I'm going uphill, but it's not uphill at all. I'm sorry. I just have to get used to talking and walking at the same time, which is like, we do that all the time, but like out of a sudden is an issue. Okay, I will see how that goes. So my friends, let's dive in and wish you a nice time. Grab a cup of tea and then enjoy this episode. See you. So this episode's topic, one of my favorite topics because it means so much to me. The topic plant medicine, psychedelics, it means so much to me. Why? Because, quite put shortly, it changed my life. To be honest, like my first experience with ayahuasca was in 2019. It completely changed my life. And even before that, I think my first acid experience was 2016 in Costa Rica. And I think this already changed my life, but in a more subtle way. Not like, it was not a crazy thing. It was more a subtle thing that I questioned the concept of reality completely. So, but what is integration? Why we need to integrate? Why are they all talking about integration in the plant ceremony and psychedelic circles? God. I have to walk slow. You know, I'm not the youngest anymore. Yes, it's very important. I would say the integration is even more important than the ceremony itself, because this is the real work. There's the spot where you maybe are going to go this path. You know, I'm going away from the path and I'm going into the woods. That's what I like. So yeah, it's so incredibly important because the ceremony itself is, I mean, it depends on where you stand, but the ceremony itself, even if it can be the most challenging experience of your life, and it probably also will be, like if you really want to dive in and you have some interest in really exploring and diving deeper in your own world, in your own stuff, then there's going to be very challenging ceremonies, especially when you have a history of trauma or a history of abuse, a history of neglect, abandonment wounds, a lot of suppressed emotions, be it anger, sadness, feeling of hopelessness, numbness, all these kind of things. This will come up in the ceremony sooner or later. But I have to say that the ceremony itself, like people are really, and of course, they should be, they have a lot of respect before the ceremony itself, because especially when it comes about ayahuasca, but also acid and mushrooms, they give you what you need, not what you want. Of course, we all want to have a nice experience where we're lying there and we're seeing amazing things, and we're going to meet with higher beings, and it's all beautiful and love and bliss. And it is also that. But for me personally, and this is also why I did more than 30 ayahuasca ceremonies. It was not out of fun. It was out of necessity, because I realized I was seeing like a kind of like a straw out of suffering. I was like the hand of God. I grabbed like, please, something has to change. I need something major, something strong to somehow really change something. Otherwise, I don't know. So this is why I did so many ayahuasca ceremonies in the last 5 years. And of course, you should be respectful for the spirit and the spirit and the plant, because it gives you what you need. So this can be really, really tough. And anyway, even if you had like a really nice ceremony or a tough one, it doesn't, like, whatever, the integration after is so important, because this kind of dictates how your life will unfold in the future. Because you can have 5 ayahuasca ceremonies, and I have seen people, they went to retreats where I was, but nothing really changed. They didn't really change. And of course, the grip of the old life and the grip of the old patterns and the old circumstances and the people, they kind of hold us back, or the toxic stuff. It's really an intense pull that keeps you in the old world and in your old self. So it takes really some work to have a ceremony, and then after integrate. The word integration. So what does it mean? Integration means you take 1 or 2 parts and you combine them. So you integrate it. It gets like one piece, or like in one piece. So you take yourself and you take the experience you had in the, let's say, in any plant medicine ceremony, and you somehow have to do something with it. For example, I don't know, you had a huge revelation about your family, or some really old trauma, emotion came back. You need to integrate that afterwards. You cannot, and I don't know how I did it sometimes. Of course, out of the necessity, I had to, of course, also work. So I could not take off as much time as I wanted to. But I would highly suggest you take your time off at least 1 day or 2 days after the ceremony. So, and then integrate. And what is that? Like, you have to really deal with the stuff that happened. Writing. I cannot stress enough how important writing is. Write down your emotions. Write down what came up in the ceremony. Write down your questions to the universe, to the higher power, whatever you believe in. And take the time for yourself. Don't rush. Meet with friends. Go to a cocktail party. I mean, I did that back in the day, and when I was living in Zurich. And it's so interesting, because I was going through my old photos and I realized, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my God. Feels like in Canada. Canada vibes, Canada vibes. So I was living in Zurich, and of course it was, my first ceremony was the first thing in this kind of field, and it completely changed my life. I cannot say I was not spiritual, because that is not true, because we're all spiritual. We are spiritual beings. We cannot not be spiritual. But you know what I mean? I was not aware of it. I was not, I don't know, about chakras and spiritual ideas and all this, like, we are all one and all this kind of stuff. I was not at all aware of it, like not at all. Of course, subconsciously, we all know it's something there. We all know it. It's in our heart. We know that. So it can be that your whole worldview changes, the whole thing, how you perceive life and the world, and this stuff that comes up from out of yourself. You see maybe your ancestors, your family lineage, all the trauma and the issues that came from generations and generations before you, and you kind of understand where is it all coming from, what like, I mean, you think you understand, but also you can understand a lot of things, because a lot of things get revealed for you to work on it and to help you, to heal you. This is why I'm such a huge advocate of ayahuasca, because it's, I don't know, it's like one of the most precious things I've ever encountered in my whole life, and I will not stop talking about it until I die. That it is so transformative. But yeah, it doesn't stop there. The integration, and for example, after I was in Peru in 2021 in the Amazon, after that I did not touch ayahuasca for 2 years. It was like, no way. The ceremonies there, the stuff that it was just so life-changing. And so, I mean, I had a lot of stuff to do in normal life. I was breaking up with my ex-partner. I was like discovering the whole narcissistic topic. Then I came to the conclusion, my ex-boyfriend was narcissistic. Oh, he sounds like my mom, maybe. So, oh yeah, I grew up in a narcissistic environment. Great. So I have to work through that. And then I discovered the whole topic of trauma and realized what it means to be traumatized and what it does to our nervous system. And I was learning for 1 year about trauma. Then I went to trauma therapy. I don't know, so much stuff that went on in my life. So in no way I could have taken ayahuasca sooner than just 2 years after that, because it was a 2 years straight integration. Seriously. And I also had retreats where I felt that I did not have to integrate as much, that rather it was kind of a series. For example, end of 2023, I had in the last half year of 23, I had 3 retreats. And I knew I had to do that. It was calling me so strong. I had to do it. And each of these retreats were kind of building up on each other. So it was so important to have them in this kind of short period of time, where compared to the years before, I needed 2 years without anything. So what is really helpful for integration is, what I think is the most effective thing, is talking to other people who have experience with it. For me, after many ceremonies, I was really missing that. I felt after some retreats I participated in, I felt kind of being left alone. Of course, there were WhatsApp chats and a bit like, how are you guys doing? But, you know, you're not putting your heart out in a WhatsApp chat. So I was kind of being left alone a few times, and I really felt this should not be like this. I should have somebody to talk, and you don't want to disturb the other people, and you know, everybody has their own life and stuff. But it's so important to be able to talk, because, for example, there was a ceremony in 2019, I think it was, I think it was my second retreat. Really intense, really intense ceremonies. I think there were 3. And the weeks after, I honestly thought I re-traumatized myself. I was completely like, you know, standing next to myself. There was like me, and then I was standing next to myself. Really weird. And at this point I was thinking like, shit, what have I done? I did overdo it, and I should not, blah, da, da, da. And now I'm like broken, and it will never be okay again. But But this kind of fog cleared up after a while, and then this kind of undescribable bliss came after. But before these 2 weeks, I was just like standing in the shower, crying, and couldn't talk to anybody, because then you think also nobody understands it anyway, and you like, you know. But at this time, for me, it was, I really missed somebody to integrate with. And yeah, also when I was working as a trip sitter in Portugal, the talking, you know, when people have psychedelic experiences, they are really, really looking to human connection. And it does not even have to be like talking. It can just be sitting. That's why it's also called trip sitter, because you're sitting there. And I'm gonna also sit because I don't want to shake the camera so much. Is it even clean? Oh my God. You know, the basics. And I want to have you like seeing the surroundings as well a little bit. Maybe it's better this way. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, and so many times I realized that people are coming, you know, there was this kind of trip sitting space area, like a safe space. It was a big festival, but more in the psychedelic direction. And they had like this trip sitting team, and also the caretaking team and the medical team. It was all really professional, and with training and Zoom meetings and all this kind of stuff. And we were working there, and the most people really, they just came and asking for advice before going on a psychedelic journey, which is really wise. And to have, you know, to have the preparation before, of course, that's another topic. And then meanwhile, the experience, they have somebody there to talk to, or they can turn to. They know they will not be annoying, because this is the biggest issue on like each substance, plant medicine or psychedelics, that you think you're completely weird, nobody will understand you, and it's just completely, yeah, you just especially, or like for me, it was many times like that. And I know for many people that they are too shy to ask for help, or they are too shy to talk to somebody because they think nobody will understand because they're weird. So, but again, like, you're on this festival and you have all these experiences, and seriously, it's so intense, because it's not just the experience itself, it's also all the stuff that surrounds the whole experience, all the people you meet, the conversations you have. It's, of course, and then nothing happens by accident. Everything happens for a reason, and everything that happens and everybody you meet is kind of fueling and acting as a catalyst to your own process. And after, you're coming home and you're like, I don't know what just happened. And of course you can do the integration alone. I mostly did all my integrations alone, because also when you talk to somebody, they don't see the whole journey. Like if I would now, or I always realize when I'm talking to somebody, it's like what I can say, even if I talk completely through for 1 hour, they don't have any idea what I'm talking about, because I would have to explain my whole life, the whole stuff that happens, and and then the whole, how what led me to be there, and all the trauma and everything that resolved the therapy, You have to explain so much. It's crazy. Then you just rather don't do it. But anyway, what you can do always is to integrate alone. Write, meditate. Meditate is a huge helper. If you just do like guided meditations, you know, connecting with the universe, or taking care of your emotions, you know, when these emotions come up and it's like, you know, waves, then it's really helpful to have like an anchor, to have something that, you know, okay, it's all somehow going to be okay. And also is really nice to have somebody to tell you everything's going to be okay, because there can be times you think it's not going to be okay. It's weird. Everything is, I destroyed it. But after the years, I gained so much trust in all these substances, and especially ayahuasca, that I would seriously put my hand in the fire for ayahuasca. After all I have experienced with ayahuasca in more than 30 ceremonies, trust is completely, and like there's so much trust. I cannot even, but it was a building up of trust. It was not in my first ceremony, on my third, fourth. Of course, I did not have the same trust as I have now. Because with the years, I learned to work with ayahuasca, to talk to her, to talk to the spirit, to co-create and have a stronger intention of what I want to do in a ceremony. And then you just build up the trust. And sometimes the ceremony gets tougher the more trust you have, because maybe 2 years ago you wouldn't even be able to go this deep because the fear was too strong to protect you from the pain or from the memory, which is fair enough. Like never in this kind of settings happens something that should not happen. And, sometimes people in the ceremonies or even in other settings, they say, I don't feel anything, I don't see anything, and then they're disappointed. But maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. Maybe nothing needs to happen. Maybe you should just be there with the people and kind of dip your toes into the water, and also work through the frustration and the disappointment, and your expectations did not get fulfilled, and all this kind of stuff. It's such a complex topic. But when you come out of it, really take good care of yourself. I would highly recommend taking time off of work, because it's so strange after a 3 days retreat, coming back to the normal world, to function in the normal world with normal people, with your normal job. You feel like a complete alien. You feel like it's impossible to function in this world anymore. It takes time. It takes years. It takes years. And even after years, you still feel like an alien, but you can kind of deal with it. It's okay. I can act normal in the world and it's fine. But in the beginning, you're just like, oh my God, everything's weird. And this is also like the spiritual awakening, everything changes. Your worldview changes. How you perceive yourself, your connection to the universe, to God, to your so-called friends. They maybe weren't even friends. Your relatives, your family, all the things you kind of discover, and you just cannot go on like before. You cannot. And people try. I tried a little bit. I went to superficial gatherings back in the day, because I had, I already said, yes, I'm coming. So I went, and it was so, you feel like a puzzle piece that doesn't fit. You feel like a black sheep in a herd of white sheep. And this can all be really challenging. It's not just the ceremony itself. It's the whole stuff that comes with it, the whole revelations you have. And this can be really, really challenging. So integration is the most important part. Also, because you get sometimes told to do certain things or to stop certain things. And part of the integration is also to do that, to follow the advice or the order from the spirits, from ayahuasca, or from higher beings you have contact with, or whatever. So, for example, stop drinking alcohol. And it's a huge challenge for many of us. We were growing up with alcohol. I did. I drank alcohol my whole life since I was 13. And I did not get really the order or the command, stop drinking alcohol. It was just, I don't know, it was 2020 or something. I was like, I cannot. It's toxic. It just it hurts my brain. And the more I learned about spiritual awakening and what empowers it and what hinders it, it's like, no way I'm drinking alcohol. And now I'm not touching a drop. I'm not touching a drop. It's not entering my body at all. Like, no way. But this is all a process. You like party animal, and then all of a sudden you stop drinking, you stop meeting your friends, you stop doing all this kind of stuff you always used to do. That's really challenging. And this is also integration. So even if this all feels really confusing and weird and completely, you think like you're like the biggest mess, and wait until the things kind of settle down, start, try to, I don't know, maybe, you know, I was watching YouTube videos, many, about people who were telling about their experiences. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Whew. This is really helpful to find others who went through the same stuff. And yeah, I don't know, let me know in the comments if you are in need of some type of integration support, because I was thinking about doing this kind of Q&A integration videos or something live somehow, so people can ask questions for if they have integration, if their integration phase after the ceremony, or maybe even before, or something like that. I was thinking about creating something like this. So if you're interested, let me know in the comments, and then I could maybe create something like that in the future if there's some need. And I think, yeah, what I experienced, there's a need, because even after these festivals, in the WhatsApp chat, some people mentioned that, yeah, I don't know, can we not make another WhatsApp group where we just talk about integration topics? And yeah, it somehow did not really happen, or, you know, because everybody is so like absorbed with their own stuff. It's really tough to grab the people who went with you through the experience, because they have their own stuff going on. And yeah, I would like to support you and answer the questions you might have. And I'm really, if you're on the journey, and you either you had experiences already, or maybe you standing before your first experience, or you're wondering, now I just had my first experience, like what now? So this is really, really a good place to be. And even if you feel confused as hell, which is normal, and it's even good, it's good to be confused. It's good to be confused. The ego needs to be confused. It needs to kind of be shattered. It needs to be broken even. It needs to, because if everything is so clear and clean and like, it needs to break. It needs to be so weakened and confused that the light which wants to come through can come through. But if you're still like, no, I'm having everything together, and I had like just an ayahuasca ceremony, everything's fine, da, 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 then the real change, I think it just can really happen when it's a bit more intense, and when it's a bit more confusing and a bit more, yeah, weirdly feeling. So I can assure you, it will be fine. Everything will be fine. And it's such a journey. And I'm speaking now 2024, and I had my first ceremony of 2019. And now 5 years later, I'm talking about it publicly. Before that, I was like, no way. I can talk. I thought I can talk about it, but it was still so much stuff going on in my own world that I sometimes disappeared for a few months, and people were wondering what happened. Where has she gone? I mean, they, of course, quickly, the superficial friends quickly stopped wondering, or they didn't even care in the first place. But some people, after a time, like, Franziska, are you still okay? And what's going on? I haven't heard from you. Like, I cannot talk. I'm absorbed. You know, I was in a hermit mode. I always say hermit mode. And this is coming from a former party animal and addicted for outside validation person, a former I need to have 3 Tinder dates a week, otherwise I'm not feeling validated, a person who had, I don't know, I just cannot even start to explain to you how far my way is that I was coming from before 2018 in Zurich, and now here, now it's just out of this world. And I was, in the last days, I was going through my old photos, and I saw this time when I had the first experiences and living in the city and still having the old life around me. And it was just amazing for me to see, wow, it really took so much effort to get free from that. And it's little pieces, they adding up. Like first you leaving your party friends, then you kind of delete certain sites from Facebook or from Instagram. You get somehow slowly but surely you get rid of the things that don't serve you. And then there's this gap, this emptiness of like, but what now? Like, what is coming now? Everything's gone, but where's the new stuff? And sometimes this can take a while before the new stuff comes, or before you kind of see the horizon at the end. And this can be a really challenging time. I know it. I have been through it. And yeah, Dark Night of the Soul, big topic as well, where you feel like you completely lost your mind, or you completely cannot live like that anymore. It's a topic for another video, Dark Night of the Soul, but also really interesting and also really related to the whole spiritual awakening. And for me personally, it's just my own experience, plant medicine, psychedelic journey. Yeah, I think that is all I'm gonna have to say for right now to this topic. That for integration, of course, is a huge topic. If you have more questions, if you want to me talk about a certain aspect of integration, let me know in the comments. I can make another video about it. And yeah, apart from that, I wish you all the best, and listen to your heart. And if you feel called to do plant medicine or to do psychedelics, do it, but just when you feel called. I would always recommend, don't do it just for fun, or you're like, yeah, I'm just doing it because my friend told me to do it. That's, you know, ayahuasca how's this word? Requires a lot of respect. So you should really know why, have a good intention, have a strong intention, and then it can really, really, really change your life when you face it with respect and courage as well, love as well. Yes, and then integrate, as long as it needs to. Don't jump into the next experience before you're finished integrating. And in my experience, you know when you're finished integrating. If I would ask you, are you finished integrating? And you're like, then you're probably not finished. Just if you say, yes, I'm good. I have it all, like seriously, it's all good. I wrote everything down. Whatever, made some changes in my life. I moved places. I did it. And now I have the calling again. Then go for it. But integration is the most important part. It's the work we have to do here on this planet. We cannot just escape in the spiritual, higher consciousness realms and stay there, because we are living here on this planet Earth, and this is our training ground. And this is where we have to train. Of course, without having all the time some substances in our body, because we need to be in a clear mind and bring everything into harmony and into balance after these intense experiences, which they can be with psychedelics and plant medicine. So my friend, yes, I think that's it. I wish you all a beautiful, wonderful evening or day, and let me know what your perspectives are, your experiences, or your inputs. I'm happy to hear from you, and then I wish you a nice time and see you in the next video. Namaste.